Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 285 for February 28th, 2023. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On today's show, it was week 2 in the XFL, and a Grey Cup champion quarterback signs with the USFL? In honor of Black History Month, this week's history lesson is a profile of legendary Grambling coach Eddie Robinson. But I'm not here by myself. Across the table from me, as always, is my son Adam.
Yes, we're here, and what an exciting couple of days we've had.
Yeah, it's been busy.
Been busy, and getting some league commissioners all up in our Twitter account.
Well, one anyway.
Okay, one league commissioner. Hey, that's more than the normal amount of league commissioners
That's
we
right.
get talking to us.
That's right. We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of this show as well as other selected videos. We're also on Amazon Music, so you can simply ask Alexa to play the World of Football podcast. So let's begin today's show with Adam and the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right. It's week 2 of the XFL. How about that? They made it to week 2. I think that's a big accomplishment, don't you?
Well, in 2020, they made it through week 5, so
That's true.
when they play week 6, we can all start celebrating.
That is very true. But, we had 4 games again this weekend, starting with the Seattle Sea Dragons, who fell to the St. Louis Battlehawks 20-18. This was a game that they should not have let, slip through their fingers, but they ended up, losing. The Battlehawks clawed back again. I watched all the highlights from this. I couldn't watch the game. It was Thursday night. I went out to a movie that night, so I didn't watch the game, but I watched all the highlights. Great highlight package they put together, by the way. And St. Louis, what a heck of a comeback. I thought Seattle looked great. They got a couple of great wide receivers. The league's leading receiver on that team was shelling out, and he looked great. Josh Gordon had another, I think it was like a great 2-point conversion. He ended up catching there in the corner of the end zone. So, Seattle's got some players, but they're 0-2. They've given up a couple of big leads. The Battlehawks ended up kicking a 44-yard field goal as time expired to overcome a 12-point deficit during the game. Quarterback A.J. McCarron completed 22 passes for 184 yards and 1 touchdown, while Seattle quarterback Ben DiNucci completed 19 passes for 196 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I don't know if I like Thursday night football for the XFL. I mean, I know they want those TV, advertising numbers and all that, but I just think, man, this is the XFL. Keep it to Saturdays and Sundays. We don't need Thursday night football.
I didn't see any of the numbers from the broadcast.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the broadcast was any different. I do think it's weird that they put it on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
But whatever, regardless. But I do want to note that Seattle's attendance, didn't look too bad. I didn't see the final number there, but they were playing in the stadium where the Seahawks play.
Yeah, I think it was somewhere around between 10 and 12,000 for just about all the games, except for the Vegas game, which was lower. But we'll get to that in a minute.
Yep. But yeah, speaking of Vegas, the next game, which was on Saturday, saw the DC Defenders get their second win of the season by defeating the Vegas Vipers 18-6. It was a rainy game and a slippery game. Las Vegas, was up 6-0, and I think that continues the streak of the first team to score ends up losing the game. I can't remember if it continued for the other 2 games, but
yeah, it was 6-0 at halftime. So it was a boring, rainy.
It was a defensive slugfest, and for a while I was okay with that, but eventually the defenders started getting things put together, and what was it? Derek King came in at quarterback there for the defenders, and he looked great. I think they had him and they had Jordan Tamau as their 2 quarterbacks, and eventually Tamau I don't know if they really benched him technically, but they just were trying to get a spark with Derek King, and he came in and the Vipers defense couldn't stop him. Derek King was quarterback running all over the place and causing havoc, and he might be their guy going forward. So that's 2-0 for the DC Defenders. On Sunday, then, we had the San Antonio Brahmas defeat the Orlando Guardians. In Orlando, it's their first home game of the year, 30-12. What a blowout that ended up being. San Antonio quarterback Jack Cohn completed 16 passes for 165 yards and 3 touchdowns, so he had a great game.
Yeah, 3 touchdowns. That's impressive.
The Brahmas wore those yellow uniforms. I guess that's their away uniform.
It
I,
wasn't bad.
I actually dug the away uniform for them. They
Yeah.
might have the best uniform in the league to me. Helmet still lacks a little bit,
Yeah.
but man, the Guardians. Oof, boy. And I thought the Vipers were bad. The Guardians might be worse. It's and I hate saying that because we're only 2 weeks into the season. But when you have your head coach telling the sideline reporter that he's going to bench everybody who's out on the field, like there's something going on there, and you hate to see that, even with a league as small as the XFL.
Yeah. San Antonio just kind of came out and they manhandled that game. I mean, Orlando really couldn't do anything. It wasn't even close.
Yeah.
You just knew that San Antonio was a much better team on this particular day, and that's the way it turned out.
And who knows? Maybe Orlando could turn it around, but right now, yeah, I would say if I had to have weekly power rankings, which Randy won't let me do yet, I put Orlando at the bottom. Then finally on Sunday, the Houston Roughnecks and the Arlington Renegades met in the only game of unbeaten teams going into this game. It was a very back and forth game for a while there, which was very entertaining up till the start of the fourth quarter. Then I think the Roughnecks just pulled away, and the Renegades couldn't do much after that. The final score there, the Roughnecks 23, Renegades 14. Houston quarterback Brandon Silvers completed 14 passes for 173 yards and 2 touchdowns. So not super impressive NFL stat lines in this league.
Right.
But when you sit there and you watch some of these guys play, they look good. The Silver Kid, I like watching him play. And then I just think Houston as a whole, just as all three phases of the game, they got dudes on every level of playmaking ability.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I watched most of this game. I watched most of all these games. I think I missed the first half of one of them. But the competition is there.
Yeah.
Obviously some teams have to start getting things together here pretty soon, but others are clicking along pretty good as for such a young league and not having a whole lot of lead up time to their first game.
Yeah, and the XFL even released a post about an hour ago talking about how the league is continuing to grow. So I figured I'd highlight that real quick. They welcomed Vegas and Orlando, home crowds this weekend. They're currently the point average for the league right now is 37.625 average points per game in terms of combined point totals. 4 of the 8 games have been decided by 4 points or less, so half your games are at least pretty close. They've had 315 million plus video views, I assume just across all social media platforms. Let's see, a couple other numbers which I don't understand. Then they've had 100,000 fans experiencing live, whatever that means. St. Louis's Lower Bowl has been sold out for their opening game, opening up the 300 sections for fans. So, and they said no lemons this week in their post. That was the last thing they snuck in there in their little info dump post. So
Well, St. Louis is the only team that has not had a home game yet,
and they won't have a home
and
game
they won't
this
have
week.
it this week. So in 2 weeks they'll get that first home game.
Very excited to see that, and we're excited to go to the game in about a little over a month from now.
Yeah.
We'll be in St. Louis to see a home game there.
Yeah, we're gonna make the trip this year. Hopefully, it won't end up like
the last time.
a couple years ago when they canceled the season just before we got there.
Yep. So for the upcoming week 3 schedule, on Saturday we're gonna have the Sea Dragons and the Vegas Vipers taking each other on. Both those teams are 0-2. Then you have a triple header on Sunday, which I believe is very weird.
Yeah.
St. Louis and the DC Defenders, they'll take on each other at 2-0. So a battle of unbeatens there. The Orlando Guardians will take on the Arlington Renegades, and then the San Antonio Brahmas will take on the Houston Roughnecks. That should be an interesting game there.
Yep.
So that is it for the XFL this week. We're going to throw it over to Randy, who's got some HBCU stuff.
Yeah, there was one final college football game of the season was played this past
I feel
weekend.
like we've said one final college football game at least 6 times since the end of the college football season.
It's been a couple. I don't know what the last one was, the Senior Bowl or
one of those all-star games.
Yeah, one of the all-star games. And this was again an all-star game. It was the HBCU Legacy Bowl, and it was Team Robinson over Team Gaither, 10-3. Team Robinson, of course, is named for Eddie Robinson, and Team Gaither is named for another legendary HBCU coach, Jake Gaither. And we're going to have a little bit more on Eddie Robinson coming up in our history lesson
Oh,
today.
wow.
That game last weekend was played at Tulane Stadium in New Orleans. So yeah, the last college all-star game of the season, and already we're talking about colleges gearing up for their spring game already, and
Right.
spring practice is beginning, and it just never
It
ends.
never ends.
It
And I mean, we
never
got college
ends.
players currently in the NFL Combine right now.
Yep, that's
So
coming up this weekend, the NFL
yep,
Combine. So I'm telling you, there's always something going on.
that's why this podcast is every
We have
stinking
we have
week, and it
something
drives us insane.
we have something to talk about every week. Sometimes it's not a lot,
We need
but
understudies.
there is something.
Actually, can I get a union? Can I get a podcast union so I can like get
Don't
some?
say something about understudies because I'm sure there'll be people ready to take our spots if we
Well, I mean,
falter for
they
a
can't be
minute.
the world of football. I mean, we got that on lockdown. But I mean, I just need an understudy to take in. I want some time off. I mean, come on, man.
You
Don't you
have
want time off?
6 days a week to have time off, and then 1 day a week you come in to
Oh, you sound
this.
like my place of employment. Anyway, what else we got?
That is it for this week's World of Football scoreboard. So now we're going to move on to some other news. In the NFL, boy, a lot of players being cut, moved, some
Yeah,
retained.
a lot of news about pre-cutting, players with
Yeah,
the league.
yeah. So we're going to cut him, but it's not going to take effect till March 15th,
March
which is
15th, which is the league New Year.
the
So,
new league year. So yeah, the biggest ones that I've come across was the Washington Commanders have released quarterback Carson Wentz.
yeah, that's like a big 20 something $1 million, thing that they're freeing
Yeah,
up. That's a big
it's all a
thing.
money thing now. Now
Yeah.
they're trying to save some money going into next year so they can maybe get some other players at other positions.
Lions released Kenneth
Brockers,
Brockers,
yeah,
or yeah,
yeah.
Michael Brockers. Sorry. But then also Washington. I want to throw this out real quick. They're also the first team to franchise tag a guy this year.
Okay.
And that's defensive tackle Darren Payne, who was a 2023 Pro Bowler. So probably a good move to keep a Pro Bowler on your roster if you're a team like Washington.
Another quarterback that's been released. Atlanta Falcons released quarterback Marcus Mariota. He wasn't even there a year, was he?
I don't think so. I think that was his first year there.
Yeah.
But they've got a young rookie quarterback there. There's thoughts that maybe they'll draft a quarterback high in the draft. So we'll see.
And then it's something that was a bit of a no surprise to you and me. The Giants have released former Lions wide receiver Kenny Galladay.
Man, what a bust he's been in 2 years in
He
New
was so
York.
good when he was with Detroit, and then he
Wanted a big fat contract,
Yep.
and the new Lions regime,
Yep.
Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell said, nah.
Yeah.
And then sent him going, and we were like, oh, man. I mean, we get that you made that for financial reasons. Like, I get losing him.
Yeah.
And we were kind of bummed, and then
he was our best player at the time.
He was our best player at the
wide
time.
receiver.
And then he amounted to nothing in New York.
Absolutely.
Does that make our general manager and head coach look like geniuses? Maybe a little. Or did the Giants just fumble how to use Kenny Galladay? Or
that could be part of it too.
Or is Kenny Galladay just that difficult to play with?
Some guys, when they get that big contract or they think they've made it, they stop trying.
Maybe, but
I don't know if that's the case here.
I hope that's not the case because I liked Kenny Galladay when he was with Detroit. I was really pulling for him with the Giants, and it just nothing worked there. He seems like a decent dude, at least on social media, but who doesn't look like a saint on their social media page? But I really do. Depending on whoever picks him up, I hope he plays real well. Unless it's a division rival, then I hope he doesn't. But anywhere else, as long as you're not part of the Packers, Vikings, or Bears, I hope you do well anywhere else, Mr. Galladay, because I had fun watching him. He was a great talent. And it's just disappointing to see him turn into a joke the last 2 years.
Yeah, I hated to see him go. Like I said, he was the best receiver on our team at that time. But man, oh man, he really has not amounted to anything since he left Detroit. Okay, some USFL news. Toronto Argonauts quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson, one of the best names ever in the CFL,
agreed,
has signed with the New Orleans Breakers of the USFL. That just absolutely shocked me.
I was a little shocked by that.
He just won a Grey Cup last fall with the Toronto Argonauts, and why would you? I don't know this, but my assumption is that he's trying to get looked at by the NFL before he gets too old. And maybe the USFL, he'll get more of a look than he would up in Canada. I mean, yeah, you can win Grey Cups left and right up in Canada, but you're not getting looked at by NFL teams.
Which is a shame because
it is. It is.
I think Canada produces a lot of great, talent up there. They just don't get seen down here, which I don't understand. You think you'd have scouts everywhere if you're the
Sure.
NFL, but
I mean, a good player is a good player.
yeah.
But yeah, he just won a Grey Cup this last November with Toronto, and I just looked up a little bit of his playing history. I did not know this that McLeod Bethel Thompson was with the Arena Football League's San Jose SaberCats in 2011, and he was also that same season with the United Football League's Sacramento Mountain Lions, and then he was with the Toronto Argonauts from 2017 until last year.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it seems like he had a good thing going up in Canada, and now he's with the USFL's
You'd
New
think,
Orleans
you could
Breakers.
go for back-to-back championships with the Argos,
Yeah,
but
I
I don't
don't
know.
know.
Maybe there's an opportunity there in the USFL, or maybe it's closer to home.
Who
Back in the
knows?
states.
Who
So,
knows? Yeah, I don't know.
but does that now make the
Couldn't
New
say.
Orleans Breakers the USFL favorites to go to the championship?
Well, I don't know, but
Well,
I will definitely be watching him
I'll
because
be
he was a
rooting
lot
for
of fun
them.
to
I'll be
watch
rooting for them.
in up in the CFL. Okay, speaking of the Arena Football League, you and I did a YouTube video just the other
Yes,
day.
a little shameless self-promotion here, everybody.
It was called Five Things the Arena Football League Needs to Do, and we had a list of five things that we thought were important that the league should concentrate on next year, or in 2024. So yeah, we put out this video, and
Feel free to go to our YouTube channel, The World of Football Kalamazoo. Go like, subscribe, all that junk there, and go watch that video if you guys haven't already. It's
yeah,
I thought it was a very fun video, and it definitely got the attention of one American Arena Football League Commissioner, Mister Lee Hutton the Third,
yeah,
whose name I did not misspell in this graphic here, but
yeah, he tweeted us that he appreciated our five suggestions. So
that's polite speak for you guys don't know what you're talking about. Stay in your lane, boys.
but no, we had some points that as fans going back to 2000. I mean, we've been fans of the Arena Football League for 20
23
years.
years now.
Yeah, way over 20 years, and it was really close to our hearts. So we had some definite things that we wanted to make sure that the league
But they weren't,
heard from the
and I
fans. Say
definitely
this
don't
is
think
what's
they were
important.
unreasonable things. I think they were just
Well,
kind of things
no.
that we just want the best for this league. The league is like
Yes.
not a child to us, but it's like that friend's kid that we all know. It's like we want nothing but the best for our friend's kid, and we want to make sure that they thrive and prosper. And we had five things. We were like, what? If they try to do these, we think they'd be in the right direction.
Hmm.
But they got business people, they got smart people that are trying to run the
Yeah.
league, and I'm sure they got their own ideas. But we just thought, hey, we're big fans. We just want to see this succeed. So here's our ideas.
Yep.
And
Yep.
apparently the commissioner said they were great. Keep them coming. So stay tuned next week when we have five more great ideas.
Don't go that far.
Okay.
I'm not ruling it out, but yeah, just we don't need that.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be another five things the Arena League needs to do unless they
No.
do something we don't like.
No. All right, let's move on to some birthdays for today. February 28th, Coach Hayden Fry, born on this date in 1929. He died in 2019 at the age of 90. He was a head coach for 37 years and posted a record of 230 wins, 128 losses, and 10 ties. He was at SMU from 1962 to 1972. He was head coach at North Texas from 73 to 78. And then he was at the University of Iowa for 20 years from 1979 to 1998. And he was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2003.
We do have breaking NFL news right now.
In the middle of obituaries.
In the middle of obituary. I can wait till we're done with the obituaries.
What is
Well,
it?
actually, you're only two into the birthdays, so it's not obituaries yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you want to get through the birthdays first, and then we can
Go ahead.
Nope, go through the birthdays first, then we'll. I'll break in with this breaking news that'll
Fine.
shatter
Thanks for
everybody's
breaking in
brains.
for nothing.
I'm just
our
letting
other
everybody know
birthday-
that we have breaking news at this very moment, and I gotta sit on it because Randy's going through these bullet points.
Our other birthday today is that of defensive end Bubba Smith.
Bubba.
Born on this date in 1945, he passed away in 2011 at the age of 66. Played his college football right down the road from here at Michigan State University. He won a national championship in 1965, and he was the number one pick in the 1967 NFL draft by the Baltimore Colts. He played 9 NFL seasons. He was with the Colts from 67 to 71. He missed the 1972 season due to injuries. He was with the Oakland Raiders in 73 and 74, and he was with the Houston Oilers in 1975 and 1976. He played in Super Bowl III and lost to the Jets, but he won Super Bowl V with the Colts versus the Cowboys. He then got into acting, and you probably know him best for his appearances in the Police Academy movies. He made a couple of appearances on Married with Children, and he was famous for his light beer commercials. So, yeah, national champ in college, Super Bowl champ, and on Married with Children. That is the trifecta on this
Wow,
show.
that is Randy's trifecta.
And he was also inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1988. And finally, anniversary today, on this date in 1987, the showcase game in the Arena Football League. It was the Miami Vice defeating the Chicago Bruisers 33-30. That game was played in Rosemont, Illinois. Later that year, the Arena Football League kicked off their very first season with 4 teams. So that's it for our birthdays and anniversaries. And before we get to our obituaries today, let's have some breaking news.
Breaking NFL news as the first bit of the NFL schedule for next season has dropped. Your 2023 NFL preseason will open with the Cleveland Browns facing the New York Jets in the Hall of Fame game on August 3rd.
Oh, okay.
Oof, there. I was really nervous you weren't going to like that breaking news. I thought you'd be like, really? You broke in for that?
Yeah, that's right. This is the time of year when they start dropping all these, games like what's the first game in Germany going to be this year, or
I bet you it's
London?
Lions Chiefs.
Well,
That'll be
that's the rumor going
that'll
on.
be the Germany game.
You got your passport?
No.
And neither do I. All right, moving on to a couple of obituaries today. This is where we take a moment to honor those who've made the world of football a better place. The first obituary is that of Jim McMillan, a defensive back in the American Football League for 5 seasons, has passed away at the age of 83. McMillan played college football at Colorado State. He signed as a free agent with the Denver Broncos in 1961 and played for the Broncos for just 2 seasons. He then signed with the Oakland Raiders in 1966. During the 1964 season, he was traded back to Denver, where he finished his playing career in 1965.
All right, and our second and final obituary this week is that of Fred Miller, a defensive tackle in the NFL for 10 seasons, has passed away at the age of 83. Miller played college football at Louisiana State University and was selected in the 7th round of the 1962 NFL Draft by the Baltimore Colts. He was also selected in the 26th round of the 1962 American Football League Draft by the Oakland Raiders. He signed with the Colts and played his entire career in Baltimore from 1962 to 1972. Miller won Super Bowl V as a member of the Colts alongside the gentleman you just talked about,
Bubba
Bubba
Smith.
Smith.
Yeah, they were
just
teammates.
2 minutes ago. So,
all right. All right. Any other breaking news? You could have waited for me to ask you that because I always ask you that before we go to the history.
I guess, but I just felt like that was such a big thing. It was the first drop of the NFL schedule for next year, just right there, 8 months away. And
So it was the Browns versus who?
the Jets.
Browns and Jets.
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know if that means anything for the Hall of Fame class. Were there Browns and Jets in the Hall of Fame class? I don't recall. Because usually they try to line that up.
Right. Yeah. Man, I can't remember.
But hey, that should be an entertaining game.
Sure.
Deshaun Watson and the Browns against the Jets, who I think will be a more improved team going into next season.
Yeah.
Will Derek Carr be their quarterback? Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? All right. Well, let's move on to this week's history lesson. And this week is our last of our 4 Black History Month related history lessons. And this week we have a profile of legendary Grambling head coach Eddie Robinson. One of the winningest coaches at any level of college football is Eddie Robinson. He not only won football games, but he also helped shape the lives of his players far beyond the game of football. Edward Eddie Robinson was born on February 12, 1919, in Jackson, Louisiana. When he was 8 years old, his family moved to Baton Rouge. He was a starting quarterback in high school and led his team to 3 consecutive undefeated seasons. He then enrolled in Leland College in Baker, Louisiana, where he was an English major. He played football in college for 4 years and graduated in 1941. He went on to earn a master's degree in 1954 from the University of Iowa. After graduating from Leland College in 1941, Robinson was hired as the head coach and athletic director at the Louisiana Negro Normal and Industrial Institute. The school changed its name to Grambling State in 1946. Robinson coached at Grambling for 56 years, from 1941 to 1997, with the exception of 3 years during World War II, and posted a record of 408 wins, 165 losses, and 15 ties. Many of his players went on to play in the NFL, the Canadian Football League, and the American Football League. The first to do so was fullback Paul "Tank" Younger. He was Robinson's first black college All-American and was also the first player to sign with an NFL team. Younger signed with the Los Angeles Rams, where he played from 1949 to 1957, and won an NFL title with the Rams in 1951. He finished his playing career with the Pittsburgh Steelers in 1958. Grambling was becoming a very popular team under Robinson's leadership, and many people wanted to see them play. So Grambling began playing some of their games in major cities and stadiums around the country. They played at Yankee Stadium, Soldier Field, the Los Angeles Coliseum, and the New Orleans Superdome. In 1976, Robinson took his team to Tokyo for a game against Morgan State. It was the first American college football game ever played in Asia. In all, Robinson had 4 players inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame: Tank Younger, Willie Davis, Buck Buchanan, and Willie Brown. Doug Williams played for Robinson and went on to become the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl. He led the Washington Redskins to a victory over the Denver Broncos in Super Bowl 22 and was also named the game's MVP. Williams succeeded Robinson as the head coach at Grambling in 1998 and was there for 6 seasons from 1998 to 2003. Eddie Robinson died in Grambling, Louisiana on April 3, 2007, at the age of 88. During his coaching career, he led the Grambling State Tigers to 27 consecutive winning seasons, from 1960 to 1986, as well as 17 Southwestern Athletic Conference championships. He was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1997 and the Black College Football Hall of Fame in 2010. With 408 wins, Robinson is the 3rd winningest coach in college football history, behind only Joe Paterno with 409 wins and John Gallardi with 489 wins. Robinson has more wins than legendary coaches Bobby Bowden, Bear Bryant, Pop Warner, Amos Alonzo Stagg, and Newt Rockne. It is unlikely that we will ever see another coach like Eddie Robinson again. A man who remained loyal to one HBCU school for over 50 years, and who developed many players who were worthy of playing in the NFL.
And wow, just like that, our Black History Month history lessons are over. Man, every year you surprise me with, that you're always able to find a good crop of stuff to find.
Well, for the last year, I've been sitting on the 4 stories that we had this month, and I've already got 2 lined up for next year.
Next year.
So I'm I want to make sure I have some really good stories for Black History Month, and I've got 2 already set aside for next year, and so I got to sit on them for a year to bring them out during Black History Month.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to our upcoming events calendar. This weekend, March 2nd through the 5th, it's the NFL Combine in Indianapolis.
Or as we like to call it, the NFL's Underwear Olympics.
There you go. Saturday, March 4th, Champions Indoor Football regular season begins. March 17th, the Indoor Football League regular season begins. Sunday, April 16th, the USFL regular season begins. Then the NFL Draft in Kansas City, April 27th through the 29th. May 22nd, the CFL preseason begins. May 23rd, the XFL championship game is going to be held in San Antonio. And finally, Thursday, June 8th, the CFL regular season begins.
Oh my gosh, the scoreboard's about to get packed in the next few weeks.
Yeah, So far this year, we've not had a single week when we didn't have some kind of score to
Yeah.
talk about in a football game, college, pro, or whatever.
Yeah, but it's just that time of year where we're going to be bringing up some champions indoor football, some indoor football, XFL, USFL. It's all going to be happening at the exact same time.
Spring is only 20, 21 days, 22 days away.
Yeah.
You got a lot of the spring games coming up. A lot of college teams are going to be practicing for, beginning here pretty soon, and they've already got dates for their spring games. So check out your local college team. And I've been to the Western Michigan spring game many times
Yeah.
around here. I think you've been to a couple,
I might have gone to one.
but yeah, it seems like a lot of times they'll have like a food drive going on. They'll ask you to bring a bag of canned goods or something to the game and drop those off, and it's always a good time. Whether in Michigan in March, you never know.
You
It
never
could
know.
be a
Like today was
gorgeous
a
day
lot
for
warmer than you
football,
think.
or it could be terrible and nasty. So
Yeah.
you never know.
Something else we didn't mention earlier was that the Buccaneers are going to release on that same league startup date Leonard Fournette,
Mm,
the running back there in
okay.
Tampa Bay. So
Okay.
one of those other moves I figured we could quickly just mention.
I'm sure there'll be a
Oh,
lot
I'm
more
sure as
moves
soon as we turn
in the
these
next
microphones
15.
off, there'll be way more. So that's how it usually goes.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
That should do it. Wow, we've really this is a short show. I
Yeah.
mean, you so little inside football, everybody. For those of you who don't know, inside podcasting here. Randy starts every show by we go through the script, and then he goes, "Yeah, it shouldn't be that long of a show today." Then we proceed to talk for an hour. Today might actually be the day.
And then Adam starts talking, and I can't shut him up. And
Uh-huh.
then next thing you know, we're pushing an hour.
But today might be that day, Randy, where it's a short show compared to our other shows.
Okay, so shut up and let's end this. That's all the time we have for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can also like the World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo. You can also follow us on Twitter. The address there is at TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and you can even find the video on YouTube of our audio podcasts. You can search YouTube for the World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle youtube.com/@theworldoffootball. We are also on Amazon Music, so simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. Feel free to subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, leave us a comment, and let us know what you think. And please come be a part of the football conversation.
And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than we do. Until next time, when we'll try and do a better job, I'm Randy Snow.
And I hope you all go out there, tell your friends about our YouTube channel, and go check out the top 5 things we thought the Arena Football League needs to do going forward.
We'll see you all next week.